Just from the title of this video, you might think it's preposterous what I'm proposing. After all, how could a player who only pitched in one game while giving up 4 runs, 3 walks, and 0 strikeouts in 2 innings help potentially save a World Series team's entire season? Well, to me it's fairly simple. It has a lot to do with why we as baseball fans see Clayton Kershaw in the light that we do. This dude will do anything to help his team, even if it means embarrassing himself a bit out there. Let's flash back to Game 3 of the NLDS. While the Phillies had been unimpressive in the first 2 contests, most notably offensively, many still viewed them as a sleeping giant, and this would be verified in the top of the 4th inning. When facing a 1-0 deficit, Kyle Schwarber blasted a 455-foot home run to right field, one of the longest postseason homers we've seen in recent years. 2 batters later, Philadelphia would take the lead when Bryce Harper scored on a throwing error from Andy Pajes that probably should have been handled by Max Muncy. A subsequent sacrifice fly from Brandon Marsh stretched their lead to 2 runs. Later on, after Bryson Stott and Trey Turner led off in the top of the 5th with singles, Dave Roberts was forced to do something I'm sure he didn't want to do: go to his bullpen early. Lefty Anthony Bonda entered the game and would come through at the time, sandwiching strikeouts of Schwarber and Marsh in between a Harper flyout. Meanwhile, the Dodgers offensively could get nothing going, with their biggest chance arguably being in the bottom of the 6th, when Muncy grounded into an inning-ending double play. This takes us to the top of the 7th, with Kershaw coming out of the bullpen. The plan all along was to have him try to keep the game close for multiple frames, allowing the Dodger offense to hopefully wake up. And he managed to do that to start his night, working out of a jam with the hard hit line out to right field. LA's offense would go down in short order in the bottom of that frame, sending the Hall of Fame lefty back to the mound in the 8th. This is when we would see that humility I alluded to in the intro, as he proceeded to serve up a leadoff tank to JT Realmuto that traveled over 400 feet, then walk Max Kepler, watch Max Muncy make a fielding error that probably should have been a double play, then give up a 2-run dying duck to right field after a sacrifice bunt. All of a sudden, it was 6-1 Phillies. It's my belief that with many other hurlers, Dave Roberts would have had to go to his bullpen here to try to save the ego of a guy who's won 3 Cy Youngs in his career and an MVP. But knowing it was Kersh who would do anything to help his team succeed, he instead was allowed to let it ride, and boy oh boy would it get more ugly, with Schwarber blasting his 2nd home run of the day just 1 pitch later. In fact, the final 3 batters he would face all hit the ball hard, as Bryce Harper doubled, Alec Boehm singled to left field, which featured Kike Hernandez throwing Bryce out at home to mercifully record the 2nd out, and then Marsh crushed a 394-foot fly ball to center field that ended up being the 3rd out on a nice catch by Justin Dean. When it was all said and done, Kershaw went 2 innings with the stats I mentioned before, while throwing 48 pitches and facing 14 batters. But this still doesn't answer the question: why was this in any way important to his team? Well, because the next night, the Dodgers, trying desperately to keep the series from going to a 5th game that would have been played in Philadelphia, were forced to go to their bullpen for 5 full innings, getting a notably great performance from Roki Sasaki. But how different would things have been if Kershaw had been taken out in that prior 8th inning, and replaced by either one of the pitchers who threw in this one, or somebody else that would have changed the matchup schemes for Rob Thompson in Game 4? Maybe it would have had a small ripple effect that resulted in them losing, and having to play a Game 5 in a hostile environment. I'm not saying Clayton had the biggest impact, or even top 10 in those final 2 games, but it was the manner in which he did it that I think deserved to be highlighted. For a guy who is arguably entitled to more pride than any pitcher in the game today, to willfully take a beating on the game's biggest stage to help his team win is a heroic thing, and certainly something worth detailing here. Alright everybody, if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching, and if you did, consider checking out any of these other videos on your screen right now for other content just like this. Also, if you ever see anything you'd like to see me detail in a video, feel free to reach out to my email, basebpoet@gmail.com, and if I end up using your idea, I'll give you a shout out. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.